When the revolution started, it started in Tunisia, for example. There was this rapper that he was imprisoned because of his lyrics, and it made more buzz. It made more. It gave more zoom to the revolution. So you can say hip hop made it different. And when the revolution in Egypt started, a lot of actors stood in the Midan, and it brought more people as well. So I would say you cannot cancel one thing and give credit to one thing. But again, when if you want to give credits, I'm sure music will have a big credit, a big name in it.
As the soundtrack of the Arab Spring of 2011, rap and hip-hop music encompasses the novelty and significance of the ongoing events. It carries the message of the protagonists of the Arab uprisings, particularly the young generation's novel and untraditional way of thinking. It carries the message of suffocation that pushes them to break the barriers of fear and face the regimes and long-term rulers who seek to ridicule their demands.
انا فهمكم بكل حزم منين فهمتنا 23 سنه استغفلتنا كفنتنا تكلمت انت وسكتنا منين فهمتنا تحب تحكم مدى الحياه قيمت الموتى في الانتخابات حطولك جوابات منين فهمتنا.
With the outbreak of Tunisia's uprising, citizens rallied around the slogan, "The people want the government to fall." In his song, Rais Lil Blad, or Mr. President, the Tunisian rapper El General addresses Ben Ali.
رئيس البلاد هاني اليوم نحكي معاك باسمي واسم الشعب الكل اللي عايش في الاحلام 2011 مازال فما شكون يموت بالجوع حب يخدم باش يعيش لكن صوته مش مسموع اهبط للشارع وشوف العباد ولا وحوش شوف الحاكم في المتراك تاك ما على بالوش مادام ما فما حد باش يقول له كلمة لا.
He paid for his boldness with his freedom and was arrested by the state, but the message has already been conveyed. The song became an anthem of the uprising and demonstrations were staged to demand his release. His music, as well as the anti-regime slogan, extended beyond Tunisia's borders and inspired protesters in Bahrain and Egypt. Demonstrators in Bahrain prepared to flood the streets under El General's tunes, using also the same means to express their own demands for change in Bahrain. Bahraini rappers talked about the rationality of Sunni-Shia divide that served only the interests of the regime.
Let me talk to you. Bahrain, let's stop this fight and let's unite. Let's put our hands together, let's make things right. Towards a better future, let's start tonight. No Sunni, no Shia, let's hold tight like red and white. Red like our blood. White.
Egypt's Day of Rage brought to the forefront a group of rappers as well. Rami Don Juan composed the anthem of Egypt's revolution by simply reciting the reasons why it's normal and even necessary to stand against the government.
ضد الحكومة ضد البلطجة والظلم ضد الحكومة ضد الحاكم والحكم ضد الحكومة وحبل الظلم طويل ضد الحكومة وعندي ألف دليل دمك مسيحينه قتلك محللينه وطنك مبهدلينه دينك مستهدفينه.
In order to stand against the regime and its repression, claims the group Arabian Nights in their song Now You're a Prisoner, society must overcome all the petty politics that paralyze people in their everyday lives, not only in Egypt, but throughout the whole region. In Libya, Ibn Thabit addresses a call to the Libyan youth.
قالك ليبيا مش زي مصر وتونس. لا، الشهداء اللي ماتوا سابقا أكثر من مصر وتونس. نسبة البطالة أكثر من مصر وتونس. نسبة عدد الفقراء في ليبيا أكثر من مصر وتونس. صح كلامهم أظن. ليبيا مش زي مصر وتونس.
Syrian rap could not ignore the ongoing uprising in Darra.
بيان رقم 1 الشعب السوري ما بينزل. بيان رقم 1 أكيد هيك ما حنضل. بيان رقم 1 من حرام بلشت البشاير. بيان رقم 1 للشعب السوري ساير.
Out of this outburst of political insurrectional hip-hop, several compilations have been made. A group of hip-hop artists from Tunisia, Egypt, Algeria, and Libya came together to spread the message that oppression, regardless of nationality and borders, must end. They are featured in a compilation of songs called Khalas Mixtape Volume 1, which means enough. On the front page, a short phrase is written, مش بعيد, or not far. But hip-hop and rap in the Middle Eastern context was not born out of the uprisings. The Iranian rapper Bahram wrote music inspired by the 2007-2008 demonstrations, 3 years before a general addressed a letter to the president. Political hip-hop was a creation of African Americans in the US in the early 80s. It was an attempt to cope with the socio-political problems inside the rough reality of the ghettos. The Middle Eastern diaspora in the US could relate to this scene. By the 90s, with the help of globalized communication and inspiration provided by Public Enemy, Tupac, Immortal Technique, Chuck D, and many more, Middle Eastern communities around the world formed their own version of hip-hop and rap, which borrows from but doesn't blindly mimic Western artists. The rappers blended Oriental beats and traditional music and adjusted the lyrics to fit their own realities. The lyrics are not necessarily in Arabic, Farsi, or any other language of the region, but also in English and French. So, if the hip-hop of the Middle East is not language specific, what makes it so particular? In fact, it's the narration of a common identity and common concerns, either in a Western or Middle Eastern context. In the West, Middle Eastern rap is characterized by recurring patterns of confused identity, discrimination, racist stereotypes, and a set of socio-political problems stemming from class, religion, or ethnicity. In the Middle East, with the exception of discrimination and racism, issues regarding social, economic, and political problems are more or less on the same wavelength with the Western-based rappers. Not surprisingly, the narration is much politicized and addresses issues such as poverty, unemployment, corruption, autocracy, and repression. Almost every country in the region has hip-hop artists that release political, usually anti-regime music. In Morocco, Biggie and Colonel denounce the violence of the state. In Algeria, Intik raps about the injustice suffered by the people and calls for a revolution. In Libya, Ibn Thabit raps about poverty and corruption. Rap and hip-hop even reach the borders of Saudi Arabia, although it is not as political as in the rest of the region. The more complex politics become, the more controversial the rap. In Lebanon, Khatiba 5 tell their story of repression and segregation in the Palestinian refugee camps. Malika, or the Queen, raps about Arab pride, the problems within Lebanese society, and the difficulties faced by women in the region.
أمر جاي من برا الأمر إنه يضلوا لبنان لورا لأنه بلدنا مثل المرأة بلد ضعيف المرة نصيحة لرمي.
The Lebanese Christian Malika is not the only female MC in the region. The Egyptian Shadia Mansour and the Arab Israeli duo Arafiyat have also claimed their place in this male-dominated society and musical genre. Although Palestinian groups from inside the occupied territories, like Gaza's RFM and PR, can record Hamas raids in their concerts, Dam and the other Palestinian Arab-Israeli rappers, like Saz and MWR, present a truly unique case. Their lives, and therefore their sources of inspiration, are multifaceted. They can identify with ghetto-like conditions in Lid and Ramla. They can rap about drugs, police harassment, racism, and at the same time they can talk about the occupation, home demolitions, and even terrorism.
مين إرهابي؟ أنت إرهابي ما كلني وأنا عايش ببلادي إمتى ببطل إرهابي.
But they're also very close to the other, the Jewish-Israeli rap scene. This friction is unavoidable, and it can lead to fusion, which has happened with Dam Tamer Nafar, the iconoclast Jewish-Israeli band, Haddak Nachash, and Kibbutz Niksakov Sinai. But this friction can also lead to collision, as in the case of the rift between Tamer Nafar and the now superstar Israeli rapper Subliminal, who has come to represent the right-wing nationalist feeling together with other similar thinking rappers in this record label DAC. In the Middle East, the grievances are too strong to allow the music to bring people together. Much controversy has been created around the Zenga Zenga anti-Gaddafi parody that was an instant hit until it became known that it was a remix made by the Israeli Mr. Illusion. Indicative of the controversy is a comment made by an Egyptian in YouTube. It's true that you're Israeli and I hate you, but you made an amazing remix. The rapprochement seems more possible when the rappers are more detached from the Middle Eastern realities. This detachment can lead to peculiar duos like the Jewish-Israeli Sneakers and the Muslim-Iranian Nazi, both currently living in the US, who explore the cultural misunderstandings between the two communities with a big dose of humor.
Wash with a Jewish ploy, Zionist US Jewish toy, overseer crack your whips, fuel to the fire the bastard kids, drop Jews, 2 words for you, Fox News, chosen tribe by Abraham and
Cultural stereotypes are also condemned by rappers like AJ, who managed to adjust hip-hop and rap to Islam. AJ is part of a trend known today as Muslim hip-hop, which is supported by many other Arab rappers like the Iraqi-Canadian Narcissist.
Like my left hand, for the truth in a being is beaming as the moon queen. You bless my future to be with Bismillah. For the soul's anguish, love, and the moment my brothers program these drums. Alhamdulillah, we put the truth to the test, proof that we bless students of this music at best to go.
Muslim hip-hop is more of a Muslim-American creation than a child of the Middle East itself. It is a product of the post-9/11 desire for Western Muslims to defend themselves and Islam from the stereotypical association with terrorism. While Western-based rappers have the privilege of being able to discuss cultural issues, for most rappers in the Middle East, the struggle to rap is the very struggle for their right to express themselves. Their music should not be confused with the commercial R&B and hip-hop of MTV. The political tensions in the region do not yet allow for mass marketing and flippancy. Rap is still in its pure form. It's a rhapsody, or poetry, in the Middle East of the 21st century. It's exactly this archetypal purity that made it so central in the uprisings. If political rap and hip-hop has the function of empowerment through articulation, it was the only force that could spit the truth in the face of the regimes.
مرة ضابط في الداخل يبعث لي بريد قال عناصر الشعب لا شكور لا حميد مدى من الشعب فاسق يستاهل العقيد متبعدين عالدين الدين يبي تجديد مش الدين لا الناس اللي يبوا تجديد يبوا تريس ما يخافوش رصاص ولا تهديد لمواس ولا حديد الراس يبي تشنيق يبي تريس تابع عليه في المواقف الضيق يبي الناس تخاف يوم را والله ما بعيد يبي الناس ما يعرفش اللي يقول السديد يبي شعب مستعد يقول معمر مش سيدنا يحتفل بعيدك حنحتفلوا بعيدنا يبي الشعب يبدل سبب معمر وتربريب يبي الشعب يقول يا معمر ياسر تغبغيب لا مش غير الحرس قصدي فرخات طلعنا زعمتها دعوة للإسلام وهو دعوة للصبايا ياسر الفساد والخراب في البلاد ياسر من تشنيق وتعذيب العباد ياسر من الكذب والنفاق والعناد ياسر خلاص 40 عام ساد ياسر الفساد والخراب في البلاد ياسر من تشنيق وتعذيب العباد ياسر من الكذب والنفاق والعناد ياسر خلاص 40 عام ساد كافة حكومة القداد في الشافة إمكانيات البلاد ندم اللي شافها واللي مش عاجبه يشرب المي المالحة هذا سيف الإسلام هو اللي قالها الفرق بينه وبين بو غير شعر شنو بنو في ال40 ولا شيء للشر لا تطوير لا تغيير قاعد نفس التخريف اللي بيستنى موت معمر يستنى 60 خريف قولوا لي غير شنداروا بالدخل مداع النفط 11 مليارات اللي